back. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
And yes, we're back. This is Boomer Life on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton, joined today by Jim Doyle, Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group. So on Boomer Life today, we are talking about your financial future. We've covered a lot of ground so far, Jim. But why is it so important that your advisor know your personal history, your needs, your goals? Why do I have to divulge so much about myself?
I think it's important to know the hows and whys of your investment choices in the context of reviewing results, the risks level taken and needed, and of tax consequences as well. If you have the 3 T's, you probably don't need me. That's the time to do the research and anticipate the tax consequences. The technique, which is knowing what you're doing, and of course the knowledge that comes with that. And of course, temperament, and this is a big one, emotional control.
A lot of our decisions are based on emotions, so it's best to leave that part out of our financial planning?
I think it's huge to recognize that it's there and it's always influencing your decisions.
The 3 T's, I will remember that: time, technique, and temperament. So for married couples and partner relationships, why is it essential that both partners be engaged, financially speaking, with their planner?
Well, aside from the fact that you both want to be rowing in the same direction, making money and keeping money, they're 2 different things. And implementing the plan, that's the big part, which requires time, attention, and of course, teamwork. Money doesn't have to be a relationship wrecker.
But it is for a lot of people.
You know, that's a sad fact because 80% of women, they say, change advisors within a year of losing their spouse. We hear phrases like, so-and-so was my husband's advisor. It's pretty telling that no relationship or trust was built there.
So, Jim, you bring to the table a lot of credentials. One of them is mediation training. Tell us how this assists your client partners.
Well, keeping lines of communication open when couples are having tougher conversations, okay, allows them a greater chance of arriving at their own solutions. Often they possess the framework for these answers. They just need a little help rediscovering them.
Can you give us an example of how this has happened? You know, you don't have to, of course, you're going to leave out specifics about the clients, but give us an example about like a married couple not on the same page and how your expertise helps straighten out that situation.
Well, I do a fair bit of work around couples that are going through divorce. And they're already raw with emotion and fear and so forth. And they come to the table with good comportment. And it doesn't take long before emotions kind of make their way to the surface. And one of the things that we want to try and do is kind of de-escalate that conflict a little bit so we can keep those communication lines open.
But one of your designations is a CDFA. Tell us about that.
Well, as a certified divorce financial analyst, one of the things that we try and do is figure out what's the best model for divorce. Are they candidates for a collaborative divorce, or is litigation going to be their only option in the future? We would hope not.
Got it. So what do I do when my spouse and I sit down and we try to have that conversation about planning our future, and we have very different investment perspectives?
We see a lot of this. It's likely that your money personalities are hardwired. They're part of your DNA. You know, whether you're a spender or a saver or a risk taker or a security seeker or a dreamer. If you can understand your partner's money personality, you can learn to speak their language. A regular 10-minute conversation between couples can go a long ways when you're talking about things like goals and concerns, hopes, dreams, and wishes.
Of course, but this is when my husband would say both members of the planning committee are not on the same page. But obviously, your training will help bring us together. Well, that's what I'm hoping.
I learned some time ago in a relationship that you can't change people, okay? And most of us, I think, don't like to be told when we're wrong. So if we frame it in a context that talks about things that people do find valuable and find important, eventually we hope we help them find some common ground.
Excellent. So what do you do in situations where parties become suddenly single? Maybe somebody loses a partner, it's either death or divorce.
Well, there's a lot of emotional strife that comes into that equation. And if you throw finances or investments or money decisions into the same mix, it can be quite overwhelming. And for those who may not have been making a lot of the investment choices in their life prior to this point, the learning curve can be quite steep. When we talk about financial literacy, I think it's a little bit, again, like exercise. It requires a little bit of consistent ongoing work. We often find situations where the spouse comes to us saying, I don't know where all the investments are. I don't understand the investments that we've got. I don't even know who the advisors are. So you can see that creates a lot of strife right to start. One of the things that we certainly encourage is having a source that a person can go to that records who the advisors are, where the monies are. And this serves not only in terms of relationships, but if something ever happens to a parent, that the kids can pick up the pieces and know where the stuff is.
So just in our short time together, in this conversation we've had today, I feel quite comfortable in speaking with you. And I get the impression that this is how you present yourself to your clients as well, that it's almost like you try to become a member of the family, in a loose sense. This is part of your specific style, I take it.
Money is incredibly personal, and we think it's important that people trust and understand what it is and feel comfortable, and in an environment where they can say, hey, wait a minute, I might be embarrassed by bringing this up, but I don't really understand this or that. Could you take a bit more time and help me with it? And that's what we want to do.
Thanks, Jim. We've covered a lot of information so far in this hour on financial planning. We've covered some of the basics, some of the common mistakes we tend to make, the differences between brokers and planners, and the differences between financial plans and investment plans, and how Jim's trained mediation skills can actually help keep couples on the same page when planning our futures and planning our retirement. You are listening to Boomer Life on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton, and today Jim Doyle has joined us, the Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group. For more information, and you can get more information on Jim's website, check him out online, www.jimdoyle.ca.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.